The galaxy buzzed with anticipation as the galactic games loomed near, a spectacle that united thousands of civilizations in the spirit of competition. It wasn't just about athletic prowess, it was a celebration of strength, endurance, and dominance. This year, however, there was a peculiar twist. Humanity had been invited to participate. It was their first appearance since being admitted to the Galactic Coalition, and the news was met with waves of skepticism, ridicule, and curiosity. The Odran Dominion, champions of the games for the past 2 centuries, were particularly vocal in their disdain. Their leader, High Warlord Vrak, a towering figure with obsidian skin and 6 muscular arms, made no effort to hide his contempt. "Let the humans compete," he sneered during a widely broadcast interview. "They will serve as an entertaining footnote in the annals of galactic history. Perhaps they'll amuse us before they collapse under the weight of their own hubris." On Earth, Captain Arlen Vega sat in the sleek conference room of the United Nations Space Command, staring at the holographic invitation hovering above the table. Beside him were Dr. Eliza Trent, a brilliant physicist, and Sergeant Marcus Ward, a towering ex-Marine who was as strong as he was sharp-witted. They had been selected to lead humanity's contingent in the games, a decision that seemed more symbolic than strategic. "Am I the only one who thinks this is a setup for public humiliation?" Marcus muttered, crossing his arms. "The Odrans don't invite newcomers to the games out of kindness." Eliza, her sharp eyes glinting with a mix of determination and amusement, smirked. "Oh, it's definitely a setup. But isn't it the perfect opportunity to surprise them?" Arlen leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on the shimmering hologram. "Surprise them how? We can't match them in brute strength, and our technology, while innovative, isn't exactly optimized for gladiatorial combat." Eliza leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "What if we don't need to match them? What if we beat them by being us?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You're saying we play to our strengths? Ingenuity, strategy, and maybe a little chaos?" "Exactly," Eliza said. "They expect us to compete on their terms, but we don't have to. Humans excel at thinking outside the box. That's how we survived centuries of conflict on Earth." Arlen considered her words, a slow grin spreading across his face. "All right then. Let's give them a show they'll never forget." The decision to accept the invitation sent ripples across the coalition. The Galactic Games were held on a neutral planet, Quora Prime, a world whose gravity, atmospheric density, and environmental hazards had been carefully calibrated to challenge participants. For species like the Odrans, whose physical resilience bordered on the mythical, it was a playground. For humans, it was a crucible. As the Earth delegation landed on Quora Prime, the disparity between them and the other participants became immediately apparent. The Odrans, Chthonians, and Balinix towered over them, their sheer size and bulk making the humans seem like children. The alien spectators, who had come from every corner of the galaxy, watched with barely concealed amusement as the humans disembarked. "Look at them!" one Odran warrior boomed, his voice like grinding stones. "They can barely carry their own equipment." Arlen ignored the jeers, keeping his team focused as they made their way to the preparation zone. The arena was a sprawling expanse of alien terrain, jagged cliffs, bubbling swamps, and treacherous chasms dotted the landscape. The first event, aptly named the Gauntlet, required competitors to navigate this deadly obstacle course while carrying weights equivalent to their body mass. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" Marcus asked, eyeing the massive boulders other competitors casually hoisted onto their shoulders. "It's not a joke," Eliza said, studying the terrain map on her handheld device. "It's a test of brute force. And if we try to compete that way, we'll fail." Arlen placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "We're not here to play by their rules. Eliza, what's the plan?" She grinned, her fingers dancing over the screen. "Physics, Captain? Gravity might favor the Odrans, but leverage and ingenuity favor us. Marcus, you'll need to rig some counterweights. I'll handle the kinetic dispersion pads. And Arlen, I'll keep the spectators entertained," he finished, his smirk matching hers. When the horn signaled the start of the gauntlet, the humans immediately drew attention for all the wrong reasons. While other competitors charged forward with their weights, Marcus crouched low, attaching a series of makeshift pulleys and ropes to his boulder. Eliza activated small devices she had placed along their path, creating bursts of energy that propelled the weights forward with minimal effort. Arlen, meanwhile, deliberately lagged behind, occasionally stumbling in an exaggerated fashion to draw the crowd's laughter. "What are they doing?" Vrack growled from the VIP observation deck, his piercing gaze fixed on the humans. The answer became apparent as the humans reached the finish line, not first, but far from last. While others had exhausted themselves in the grueling race, the humans remained relatively fresh. The crowd, initially laughing at their antics, began murmuring in surprise. "That's impossible," one Chthonian competitor hissed. "How did they conserve so much energy?" "It's not impossible," Eliza whispered to her team, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. "It's science." The first event ended with the Odrins predictably taking the top spot, but humanity's performance sparked a wave of intrigue. The next challenge, a test of endurance in Quora Prime's toxic swamps, promised even greater peril, and greater opportunities for humanity to prove their worth. As the humans returned to their quarters that evening, Marcus couldn't help but chuckle. "You know, for a bunch of scrawny primates, we're doing all right." Arlen smiled, though his expression turned serious. "This was just the beginning. The Odrins won't underestimate us again. Tomorrow, we'll need to be even smarter." Eliza tapped her device, bringing up schematics for the swamp terrain. "Let them bring their strength. We'll bring everything else." Outside, the Quora Prime sky burned with the light of its twin moons, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The Galactic Games had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The toxic swamps of Quora Prime stretched endlessly, their viscous, green-tinged waters bubbling ominously under a thick blanket of mist. Towering fungi loomed overhead, releasing sporadic bursts of spores that shimmered like deadly confetti. This was the setting for the second event of the Galactic Games, the Trial of Endurance. Competitors were required to navigate the treacherous swamps, retrieve a beacon from the center, and return within the allotted time, all while avoiding the swamp's numerous dangers. The Odrins, with their immense strength and nearly impenetrable hide, were already boasting about their inevitable victory. Their leader, High Warlord Vrack, stood at the starting line, his arms crossed as he surveyed the humans with a disdainful glare. "Perhaps we should carry the humans across," he said loudly, eliciting laughter from the other competitors. "It would save them the embarrassment of drowning." Captain Arlen Vega remained calm, his expression unreadable. Standing beside him, Eliza Trent fiddled with a compact device she'd built overnight, while Marcus Ward tightened the straps on his pack. Their team had learned from the previous event that the Galactic Games weren't just a competition, they were a stage. Every move was scrutinized, every failure magnified. The humans couldn't just survive, they needed to make an impact. "Stick to the plan," Arlen murmured as the signal horn blared, marking the start of the event. The Odrins surged forward like a tidal wave, their massive forms plowing through the swamp with brute force. Other competitors adopted various strategies. The Chthonians, light and agile, leaped from fungal stalk to fungal stalk, while the Baelinics used their natural bioluminescence to light a path through the mist. The humans, however, moved cautiously, their pace deliberate. "Time to see if my little invention works," Eliza whispered, activating a series of hovering drones she'd released into the swamp earlier. Each drone emitted low-frequency pulses, mapping the terrain and identifying the safest paths. The information was relayed to her handheld device, which guided their team through the least hazardous routes. "Left," she called out. "Avoid that cluster of spores. They're reactive to movement." Marcus rolled his eyes as he slogged through the muck. "Reactive spores. Great. This planet just keeps getting better." Behind them, chaos erupted as one of the Chthonians miscalculated a jump, landing on a patch of volatile moss. The resulting explosion sent the competitor flying, earning gasps from the audience. The humans pressed on, their progress slow but steady. As they approached the center of the swamp, the beacon's glow became visible, a pulsating blue light that seemed almost within reach. But reaching it was easier said than done. The swamp's creatures, previously lurking beneath the surface, began to stir. Massive serpentine beasts with glowing eyes and razor-sharp teeth emerged, drawn to the movement and vibrations of the competitors. "Here comes the fun part," Marcus muttered, drawing his plasma blade as one of the creatures lunged at them. He sidestepped deftly, slashing at its side and sending it retreating into the water. Arlen gritted his teeth, scanning the area. "We can't fight them all. Eliza, any ideas?" "I might have something," she replied, pulling out a small device that resembled a handheld fan. She adjusted the settings and activated it, emitting a high-pitched frequency that made the creatures recoil. "It disrupts their sensory organs," she explained. "But it won't last long. Move!" With Eliza's device keeping the creatures at bay, the team reached the beacon. Marcus hoisted it onto his back, grumbling about its weight but wasting no time as they began their return journey. The swamp, however, wasn't done testing them. A dense fog rolled in, obscuring their path. The drone's guidance became erratic as the signals struggled to penetrate the mist. Worse still, the reactive spores began to drift in their direction, drawn by the movement of other competitors. One wrong step could trigger a chain reaction that would engulf the entire area. "This fog wasn't here before," Marcus said, his voice tense. "Is it natural or—" "It's deliberate," Eliza replied, her brow furrowed. "The games are designed to adapt to the participants. They're testing us." "Well, they're about to find out just how stubborn humans can be," Arlen said, his tone resolute. "Eliza, can you recalibrate the drones?" She nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. "I can amplify their signal, but it'll drain their power. We'll only get one shot at this." "Do it," Arlen ordered. "Marcus, keep an eye on those spores. If they get too close, we'll need to create a diversion." Eliza activated the drone's amplified mode, and the devices emitted a powerful pulse that momentarily cleared the fog in a small radius. The humans moved quickly, following the brief glimpses of clear terrain. Behind them, the spores began to cluster ominously, their glow intensifying. "Too close for comfort," Marcus muttered, tossing a plasma grenade into the water. The explosion scattered the spores, buying the team precious seconds. But the noise also attracted more creatures, their serpentine forms cutting through the water with alarming speed. "We're not going to make it at this pace," Arlen said, scanning their surroundings. His gaze landed on a nearby fungal stalk, its height offering a potential vantage point. "Eliza, can those drones carry a rope?" "They're not designed for it," she replied. "But I can modify their clamps." "Why?" "We're going up," Arlen said, pointing to the stalk. "It's risky, but it'll get us above the creatures and the spores." Eliza hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "On it." With the drone's help, the team scaled the stalk, reaching a precarious platform high above the swamp. From this vantage point, they could see the path to the finish line. The creatures below snapped and hissed, unable to reach them. "Nice view," Marcus said, catching his breath. "Let's hope this works." Using the drones to anchor ropes to nearby stalks, the humans created a makeshift zip line. One by one, they traversed the swamp's treacherous expanse, their ingenuity leaving the audience in awe. When they finally reached the finish line, they were battered, muddy, and exhausted, but alive. The crowd erupted into cheers, their initial skepticism giving way to genuine admiration. Even the Odrins, watching from their vantage point, were silent. High Warlord Vrak's expression was unreadable, but there was no mistaking the intensity in his gaze. As the humans collapsed onto the ground, Eliza let out a tired laugh. "Well, that was fun. Who's ready for round 3? Arlen smiled, his exhaustion tempered by a sense of triumph. "One step at a time. But I think we've proven something today." Marcus grinned, wiping swamp muck from his face. "Yeah. Never underestimate humans." The second event had ended, and once again, humanity had defied expectations. But the games were far from over, and the challenges ahead would demand even greater resilience and creativity. The third event of the Galactic Games was a test of pure combat, the Arena of Trials. Set in a colossal amphitheater surrounded by roaring spectators from countless civilizations, the event was designed to showcase raw strength, strategy, and survival instincts. Competitors were pitted against each other, and waves of AI-controlled adversaries in increasingly complex scenarios. Only the most resourceful would make it through the 3 rounds, and even fewer would emerge victorious. Captain Arlen Vega, Eliza Trent, and Marcus Ward stood in the human preparation area, the muted roars of the crowd filtering through the thick walls. On the other side of the arena, the Odrin Dominion loomed, their hulking figures casting long shadows. High Warlord Vrak was at the forefront, his expression a mixture of disdain and predatory anticipation. The humans had surprised the galaxy twice already, but Vrak was determined that the Arena of Trials would end their streak. "This is where they crush us," Marcus muttered, checking his plasma blade. "The Odrins are built for this kind of thing. 6 arms, reinforced bones, and armor like skin? It's a slaughter waiting to happen." Eliza, ever the optimist, smirked as she adjusted the power settings on her wrist-mounted device. "Then we just have to make sure it's their slaughter, not ours. They're expecting brute force. We'll give them something they don't see coming." Arlen nodded, his mind already racing with strategies. "Remember, this isn't just about winning. It's about making a statement. We've shown them ingenuity and endurance. Now we show them what it means to fight smart." The signal horn blared, and the gates to the arena groaned open. The sight that greeted the competitors was breathtaking and terrifying, a sprawling, ever-changing battlefield littered with obstacles, traps, and holographic constructs. Massive pillars of jagged stone rose and fell intermittently, while streams of molten energy coursed through channels in the ground. The air shimmered with the heat of battle. The first round began with a chaotic melee. Competitors from various species launched themselves into combat, clashing with AI-controlled drones designed to simulate elite warriors. The Odrins immediately dominated, their sheer strength and size allowing them to smash through waves of opponents. Vrak, in particular, seemed unstoppable, his 6 arms wielding an array of deadly weapons with terrifying precision. The humans, however, took a different approach. Rather than diving headfirst into the chaos, they analyzed the battlefield. Eliza's drone network scanned the area, mapping enemy movements and identifying potential hazards. Arlen and Marcus used the information to navigate the terrain, taking out drones with calculated precision. "Stick to the edges," Arlen called out, deflecting a drone's blade with his plasma shield. "Let the others tire themselves out in the middle." Marcus grinned as he ducked under a swinging holographic axe. "You mean let the Odrins do all the heavy lifting? I like this plan." Their strategy paid off. While the other competitors became bogged down in relentless combat, the humans conserved their energy, taking down only the drones that posed an immediate threat. By the time the first round ended, they were still standing, their faces streaked with sweat but their resolve unbroken. The crowd, initially dismissive, began to murmur in surprise. Humanity's unconventional tactics were once again turning heads. Even Vrak, who had breezed through the round, spared a glance in their direction, his eyes narrowing. The second round was a team-based challenge. Competitors were grouped into randomized teams and tasked with capturing and defending strategic points on the battlefield. Arlen's team was paired with a pair of Chthonians and a lone Baelinic, their strengths complementing humanity's ingenuity. "We're outnumbered," one of the Chthonians hissed, her feathered crest bristling as she scanned the battlefield. "The Odrins have already fortified their position." "Good," Arlen replied, a sly grin forming. "That means they're predictable. We don't need to fight them head-on. We just need to outthink them." Using Eliza's drones to create false signals, the team lured one of the Odrin squads away from their posts, creating an opening to capture the first point. Marcus, with his uncanny strength and quick reflexes, held off an enemy advance while Arlen coordinated a flanking maneuver with the Chthonians. The Baelinic, using its bioluminescent abilities, disrupted the Odrin's visibility in the heat of combat. The strategy worked flawlessly. By the end of the second round, their team had secured the most points, narrowly edging out the Odrins. The audience erupted into cheers, their respect for humanity growing with each passing moment. Vrak, however, was far from impressed. His scowl deepened as he realized the humans were becoming more than a novelty. They were a threat. The final round was the most grueling, a free-for-all survival challenge. Competitors were left to fend for themselves as the arena's AI constructs escalated their attacks. The battlefield shifted constantly, with molten streams rising, platforms collapsing, and holographic hazards materializing without warning. Arlen, Eliza, and Marcus moved as a unit, their synergy unmatched by any of the other competitors. While the Odrins relied on brute force to overpower their adversaries, the humans used their adaptability to outmaneuver both competitors and the environment. "Left!" Eliza shouted, ducking as a massive energy projectile sailed past her. "This entire section is collapsing!" Arlen grabbed her arm, pulling her to safety as the ground gave way beneath them. Marcus, meanwhile, used his plasma blade to carve a path through a group of drones, his sheer determination keeping them at bay. As the chaos reached its peak, Vrak himself entered the fray. The towering Odrin moved with terrifying speed and precision, his 6 arms a blur of deadly strikes. He made no secret of his target, the humans. The audience held their breath as Vrak closed the distance, his roar echoing across the arena. "You've amused me long enough," he growled, swinging a massive war hammer at Arlen. "Now you face true strength." Arlen narrowly dodged the blow, the force of the hammer creating a shockwave that sent him sprawling. Marcus leapt to his defense, blocking Vrak's next strike with his plasma blade, but the sheer power of the Odrin nearly overwhelmed him. "Any brilliant ideas, Eliza?" Arlen called out, scrambling to his feet. "Just one," she replied, her fingers flying over her wrist device. "Keep him distracted." Arlen and Marcus worked together, using every ounce of their strength and skill to evade Vrak's relentless assault. Meanwhile, Eliza activated a hidden drone that latched onto Vrak's armor, delivering a targeted electromagnetic pulse. The Odrin's weapons faltered, giving the humans a crucial opening. Arlen struck first, using his plasma shield to knock Vrak off balance. Marcus followed with a devastating blow that forced the Odrin to retreat. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause as the humans stood victorious, their resilience and ingenuity defying all expectations. As the final horn blared, signaling the end of the event, Arlen turned to his team, a triumphant grin on his face. "We didn't just survive. We won." Marcus clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Damn right we did." Eliza smirked, wiping sweat from her brow. "And I'd say we're just getting started." The arena of trials had proven one thing beyond doubt: humanity was a force to be reckoned with. But the games weren't over yet, and the greatest challenge was still to come. The final event of the Galactic Games was nothing short of legendary, the Crucible of Dominion. Unlike the previous challenges, this was not a test of strength, endurance, or strategy alone. It was a culmination of every skill and quality the competitors possessed. A sprawling, dynamic battlefield awaited, filled with shifting terrains, environmental hazards, and sentient AI opponents designed to emulate the most dangerous foes from across the galaxy. At the heart of the challenge was the Dominion Sphere, a massive, floating artifact. The first team to secure and activate the sphere would be declared the victor, earning eternal glory, and for humanity, a place of respect in the galaxy. Captain Arlen Vega, Eliza Trent, and Marcus Ward stood at the edge of the arena, their faces set with determination. Around them, the remaining competitors prepared for battle, each more formidable than the last. The Odrins, led by High Warlord Vrak, loomed like living fortresses. The Chthonians and Balinics, though fewer in number, exuded deadly confidence. The air was electric, charged with anticipation and tension. Eliza adjusted the straps on her pack, her voice steady despite the stakes. "This is it. We've come too far to lose now." Marcus grinned, his usual bravado masking the gravity of the situation. "You think Vrak's ready to taste some humble pie?" Arlen smirked but kept his focus on the battlefield. "Let's not underestimate him, or anyone else. They've been watching us. They'll be prepared for our tricks." The signal horn blared, and chaos erupted. Competitors surged forward, clashing with AI constructs and each other as the battlefield came alive. Massive platforms rose and fell, rivers of molten energy crisscrossed the terrain, and towering obstacles shifted unpredictably. The Dominion sphere hovered in the center, its golden light pulsing like a heartbeat, a tantalizing beacon of victory. Arlen's team moved quickly, using their agility and coordination to avoid the initial fray. While the Odrins charged straight for the sphere, relying on brute strength to plow through their opponents, the humans took a more measured approach. Eliza's drones scouted ahead, mapping the terrain and identifying potential threats. "Northwest quadrant," she called out, pointing to a series of crumbling rock formations. "We can use those as cover to flank the sphere." The team navigated the treacherous terrain, their movements precise and deliberate. They avoided unnecessary confrontations, conserving their energy for the final push. Along the way, they encountered a squad of Balinix, their glowing forms blending with the molten rivers. "Not today," Marcus muttered, activating his plasma shield. The humans fought with a mix of precision and ingenuity, using the environment to their advantage. When a Balinic leapt toward Arlen, he dodged, causing the alien to land on a fragile platform that crumbled beneath its weight. Marcus, meanwhile, used his blade to deflect a series of energy bolts, giving Eliza time to deploy a device that disabled the remaining Balinix weapons. As they pressed on, the ground beneath them trembled. A massive AI construct emerged, its towering form bristling with weapons. The crowd roared as the construct unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, forcing the humans to scatter. "Suggestions?" Arlen shouted, ducking behind a pillar. Eliza's eyes darted to her wrist display. "It's powered by a central core. If we can overload it—" "Say no more," Marcus interrupted, charging forward. Using a grappling hook, he scaled the construct's leg, dodging its automated defenses with sheer tenacity. Eliza provided cover fire, her precision shots disabling key systems. Arlen joined the fray, using his shield to block a devastating swing from the construct's arm. Together, they dismantled the machine, its core erupting in a blinding explosion. The crowd's cheers grew louder, their admiration for humanity reaching a fever pitch. But the humans had no time to celebrate. The Odrins had reached the Dominion sphere, and Vrak himself was attempting to activate it. His 6 arms moved with practiced efficiency, bypassing the sphere's intricate defenses. "We can't let him take it," Arlen said, his tone resolute. "Eliza, is there a way to disable the sphere remotely?" She shook her head. "It's shielded. We'll have to get up close." Marcus cracked his knuckles. "Then let's get close." The humans launched their final assault, weaving through a battlefield littered with wreckage and fallen competitors. The Odrins, sensing the threat, moved to intercept them. What followed was a brutal clash of wills and tactics. Marcus engaged 2 Odrin warriors at once, his strength and quick reflexes keeping them at bay. Eliza deployed energy traps, forcing their opponents to slow down and rethink their approach. Arlen, meanwhile, targeted Vrak directly. The Odrin warlord towered over him, his presence as imposing as a mountain. Their duel was a study in contrasts, Vrak's raw power against Arlen's agility and precision. The crowd watched in rapt silence as Arlen dodged a crushing blow, using the momentum to land a strike on Vrak's side. The warlord roared in anger, swinging his massive war hammer with deadly intent. "You're strong," Arlen said, his voice steady despite the strain. "But strength isn't everything." With a sudden burst of speed, Arlen feinted left, causing Vrak to overcommit. In that split second, he activated a device Eliza had given him, a concentrated EMP charge designed to disrupt the sphere's defenses. The artifact flickered, its light dimming briefly. "Eliza, now!" Arlen shouted. Eliza sprinted toward the sphere, her hands moving deftly over its controls. The Odrins, momentarily stunned by the EMP, couldn't react in time. As the sphere's golden light surged to life, the arena fell silent. The humans had done it, they had activated the Dominion sphere. The horn blared, signaling the end of the event. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause, their voices echoing across the amphitheater. The Odrins, though defeated, stood in stunned silence, their expressions a mix of disbelief and grudging respect. Arlen, Eliza, and Marcus stood together, their faces streaked with sweat and dirt but filled with triumph. The sphere hovered above them, its light a testament to their victory. As the Galactic Coalition leaders approached to award them the championship, Vrak stepped forward. His towering form cast a long shadow, but his gaze held no malice. Instead, he extended one of his 6 arms. "You've earned this," he said, his voice low but sincere. "Perhaps there's more to humanity than we thought." Arlen shook his hand, a small smile playing on his lips. "Perhaps there's more to all of us." The games were over, but the impact of humanity's performance would resonate for generations. They had proven not only their worth but the value of ingenuity, resilience, and unity. The galaxy had underestimated them, and in doing so, had learned a powerful lesson: strength isn't just about muscle, it's about heart, mind, and the will to defy the impossible.